Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome to my session for today. And before I go to the topic of my session, I want to begin with a story. So where I come from, when we say story time, the response we get is blessing time. So when I say story time, I want you all to type blessing time in the comment section. I would really appreciate. So story time. I can't see the comments, but I hope you all are typing blessing time. So story time, blessing time, story time, blessing time. So imagine a scenario where you are like the kid in the image, you're studying or you're just going about your day, and all of a sudden, oops, you're hungry. And you pick up your phone, then you go to Google, perhaps check for restaurants near you so you can order a meal so you can get something to eat, right? And three options come up on your Google search. We can see here that this first restaurant has a 3.8 stars rating. This one has no reviews, and this one has a 5-star rating. And let's imagine it's an ideal world where the cost doesn't matter and you really want to get something very quality and something that will be filling and you won't have to complain of illness afterwards. So you would most likely want to go for the 5-star rating because most people who went there rated it a 5 out of 5-star. So we can see how the data we've seen online regarding restaurants close to us have been able to help us make a decision on the restaurants we want to go to. And there are many other scenarios, but this is the one I'm going to use as an example for today's session. So what's my topic for today? In this session, I want to unlock the potential of data and show you how to unlock the potential of data and empower decision making using Power BI. So who am I? My name is Malcom Okonkwo. I am a data analyst. I have a background in chemical engineering, and I have over 2 years work experience in both the engineering sector and the banking sector. And I can tell you for a fact that one thing that's common to both experiences is that there is power in data. In my experiences, I've been able to witness real time how they've been able to use data to make data-driven decision making for the company. When they want to make like a next step or act on a certain decision, right? It's always backed by data. So for this session, I want to focus on 3 keywords, just 3: data, decision, and Power BI. I'll say that again. So data, decision, and Power BI. So let's begin. What is data? According to research, data is simply pieces of information. It can be anything like your numbers, your letter, to images and sounds and whatnot. They can come in form of questions. For example, what is your name? My name is Malcolm. What time is it? The time is currently 9:19 a.m. GMT +1. Or it could be the distance between 2 cities, let's say, or 2 countries. I'll give an example, maybe my country, Nigeria, and a neighboring African country, Ghana, the total distance between them, which can be, let me say, 2 centimeters, which is not even possible because they are far apart. So, but I'm giving an example, and I'm sure you get the drift. So let me just leave you a fun fact. And we've seen an example of how we're able to get data from just a quick Google search on relating to restaurants. So now, how much data do you think is generated every single day? How much data do you think is generated every single day? And according to research, 2.5 quintillion bytes of data. And when I say quintillion, I mean 18 zeros. So imagine 2.5, then just add 18 zeros to the end. And that's how much data is generated every single day. So imagine how we are able to harness just a fraction of the data and how we can transform the way we make decisions and shape the future of businesses and organization. Now, this leads us to what I call there is power in data. Right? Imagine a world just like the example above, how he was able to make a decision on restaurants relating to the ratings of those restaurants. Imagine a world where decisions are no longer made based on gut feeling or educated guesses. Instead, they are backed by the power of data. And in this real life insight, we can be able to make remarkable decisions and unlock opportunities that drive business success. This leads us to the data revolution. And in the midst of this data revolution is a tool like no other, Power BI. So with Power BI, I'm going to show you how we can unlock or unleash the potential of data and go from educated guesses to empowered choices. Remember the keywords I said, right? I said data and I said decision making. But the question now is, how do we go from data to decision? How do we go from data to decision? You don't just look at numbers, and because the numbers in the example we said earlier regarding restaurants, we saw that those numbers have already been processed, right? And they've given us the final output, which we're able to use to make a decision. But how do we go from the raw data to decision? Just stay with me. I'm going to show you how. Before we talk about the phases that data go through before they go from data to decisions, we need to talk about the forms in which data come in, which is our data sources. So data can come in either a structured form or an unstructured form. When we're talking about structured form, we're referring to maybe your text files, like your Excel, your CSVs. We're referring to databases like your data storage, your data silos. When we're talking about unstructured, we are talking about maybe examples are like pictures or videos or audio recordings. Those are examples of unstructured data. But before decision is made based on data, it goes through several phases of processing. And I'm going to share those phases with you in this session. So the first phase on my list is data gathering. So what is data gathering? Data gathering is simply just collecting information from, or facts from various sources. Take for example, I want to work on something and I need data. In fact, an example can even be Google. I wanted to know restaurants near me. I just went online, I searched for restaurants near me, like the example I showed you earlier, and restaurants came up. That's me just trying to get my data, right? So data gathering is simply just getting information from various sources and bringing them into a center location for my analysis. And the cool thing about this is that Power BI has a feature called Power Query. No, sorry, Power BI has a feature which can help you actually what's it called? Get data from multiple sources, whether your data is on the cloud or on a spreadsheet, on a website, or anywhere, not necessarily anywhere, but major places. Power BI can help you get your data and bring it into Power BI, which will act like your central repository for you to perform your analysis on your data. What's the next step on our phase of data processing? We have data cleaning. What is data cleaning? Data cleaning is simply the process of identifying and correcting the errors or inconsistencies in our data sets, just to ensure accuracy and reliability. And you may want to ask, oh, what kind of errors are we identifying, or what kind of errors are we looking out for in our data set? Because it takes for you to know the kind of errors to encounter and for you to now know how to handle them. So the kind of errors we can have are maybe duplicate errors, duplicate entries, sorry, invalid character, misspelled words. And Power BI has a tool called Power Query, which we can use to help us identify, not just identify them, but handle them appropriately. So I'm going to show you an example of spotting data errors and how to clean them. An example I'm going to draw up today is, imagine I am a lecturer in a class. I come into a classroom, I teach my students, and I request for attendance sheets. So, and in a few minutes time, the class captain brings the attendance records to me and asks me, okay, these are the number of students. And I ask myself, okay, how many students do I have in my class? And I look at the attendance sheets, and this is what I see. From the get-go, I would think I have 16 students, but I take a closer look and I see that, oh, there are actually some issues. For example, this student, number 4, Liam Davis, has an incorrect registration ID. It's very possible that he thought the S was dollar, and when he puts a dollar sign, it's interpreted it as currencies. So these are one of the issues I've been able to spot. And other issues which are present in these data sets are, so I've been able to underline or circle the errors in these data sets. If you even look at number 3 to number 9, we can see that Olivia Brown is appearing twice, so which is giving me an extra student. So I would think it's 16 students. Meanwhile, one person. I've already spotted one that is a duplicate. So when I clean this data set and transform it so my data will be accurate, I end up having 15 students with everything being consistent, and I've taken care of all the errors. So this is an example of data cleaning. So the next step on our phase of data processing is our data gathering. Sorry, is data analysis, mistake. So what is data analysis? Data analysis is simply acting like a data detective, spotting patterns and stories in the numbers from your data and displaying it using graphs and charts to help you understand your data better. And when you understand your data better, you'll be able to convey the insights you find so that your business or your company can help make can help with decision making. So this can be easily done on Power BI. I'm just going to show an example of what I mean by data analysis. So imagine I have this small amount of data and we can see transaction ID, we can see the date, product, quantity, and amount. And I want to be able to ask a few questions to know my data better. And the first question I ask is how much revenue has been generated? How much of each product has been sold? Then I go ahead to build my visuals and I see that the business have been able to generate $24,000 of revenue. And from the products sold, they have been able to sell more of smartphones than tablets, than laptop being the least product that has been sold. So this is just an example of what data analysis looked like, just trying to find patterns in your data to see what the numbers are telling you. So you ask it questions, then you try to find the answers to those questions, and that's simply data analysis. So the next step on our phase of data processing is data storytelling. So what is data storytelling? Data storytelling is a very powerful tool which is used in conveying complex data in a clear and relevant narrative, analyzing and visualizing data and presenting all the information in a simple manner. So what makes up a good data story? A good data story comprises of three things. We can see from the charts by the right, we can see our narrative, we can see our visuals, and we can see our data. And the three of them combined together gives us what we have, a good data story. So I'm going to give you an example. So I'm going to be highlighting each data story element, and we're starting with our data. So imagine you have the data at the from on the screen from the right, and this data speaks to cancellation rates. It speaks to the month and the percentage. And initially, you may not even know what the data is talking about. You may just see 18%, 2%, 6%, and you ask yourself, is this good? Is this a good thing? Is it supposed to increase or reduce? Or you don't even know because you just see numbers at first, unless maybe you think critically and say, oh yes, they're actually reducing. So what's is this a good thing? Are we in a good position? Then you go ahead translating that chart to that table to a chart. And now we can see a trend. And the trend is good because from the initially I can already see that is a reduction, but it's still lacking some narrative, some more details that would give this a complete, that will make this a complete data story. And when you add a little bit of narrative, you have something like this. And this tells that our average cancellation rate per month is decreasing at a very good rate, and we have seen over 400% decrease in the last 6 months. So this has already told me that the reduction is a good thing. So me as a CEO, I don't have to worry, even though I don't understand what the number means. I just know we're in a good place and everything is good. The reduction, we're fine, and that's good to go. This conveys all information already without me having to crack my head or worry about what does this mean, what does that mean. So I think I've already walked you through all the phases of data processing. So now I want to show you a real demo on how we can actually go from data to decision. So I don't know if the link to the data set has been dropped on the chat box, but I'm just going to open the case study real quick so we can know what we're dealing with. Let me just zoom in. Okay. So our case study for today. Our company, Malcom and Sons Limited, And this is not by any way a real company, just putting it out there in case you look up Malcom and Sons. They're committing to enhancing their performance and making data-driven decisions. They want us to track their key performance metrics, which include the revenue, quantity sold, profit, and number of customers. So one of the requirements are total KPI tracking, monthly trend analysis, month-over-month comparison, and product performance evaluation. So these are just big English. I'm going to simplify it for you real quick. So let me just open my Power BI. So this is Power BI. This is Power BI. So like I said, I'm going to walk you through the phase of data processing. And the first phase, which I stated earlier, was what? Data gathering. So let me just get my data real quick. So when I click on get data, I see all the options that Power BI can connect to. So my data is an Excel file. So I just need to click on Excel, then I click on connect. So Power BI locates my my files, and I open this data for demo, which is data for my session, and it takes a while. So Power BI has signified that I have tables and sheets in this Excel file. So which one do I want to work with? So it asks me select items for no items selected for preview. So once I select some items, I would see the data in it already. So I just need my customer 1, product category 3, product 2, and sales 1 tables. So I just have to click on transform. Okay, so this might take a while sometimes, but hopefully this isn't a big data, so it was very quick. So before I proceed, I just want to rename this table so they are clearly understood. I change to customers, change this to product categories, change this to products, and I change this to sales. Okay, so I'm already familiar with this data, so I already know where the errors are, because the next step on our phase of data processing is data cleaning. So I already know where the issues are, so I'm just going to take you there directly. So we are on our product categories table, and one thing I can tell you the issue is we can see here we have accessories, we have accessories. So this is Power Query, by the way. I don't know if I said that earlier. This is Power Query. So like I mentioned earlier, Power Query is what's going to help us with our data transformation and data cleaning. So that's what I'm about to do using Power Query. So we can see that there are some misspelled categories of the product. So accessories here is misspelled, clothing is misspelled. So it's actually supposed to be clothing. So there's clothing and there's clothing again. So there is components, misspelled components. So I'm just going to handle that real quick for you in this live session. So what I first need to do is just to find my accessories, the misspelled one, copy it out so I can use that to replace with the original one. So I just come here, right click, I replace values. So I paste the incorrectly spelled accessories, then I replace it with the correct one. I just come here and tell it to match entire cell contents, and I press OK. So once I come and check my drop down again, we can see that we only have the correctly spelled accessories. So it means I've handled the issue. So I'll just do that for the others. Just trying to, okay. So come to components, copy this, remove that step, give a right click, come to replace values. This is the same thing I'll be doing for the others as well. Spell with the correct spelling. I just need to match entire cell contents and press OK. I check my drop down and it's fixed. So there are two clothing and clothing, and I suspect that they should actually just be one clothing. I suspect that there is an extra space. So let me just trim this column first before I replace it. I come to transform, I click on trim. So trim just means to remove any extra space. So I click on trim, then when I come and check my drop down, I see that there's just one clothing. So I will just come and replace that. Copy, then cancel my step. Right click, replace values, paste again. I paste it here, but I put the correct spelling and I put match entire cell contents. I press OK. So, and we can see from our drop down that every time taking care, we have just accessories, we have our bikes, we have our clothing, and we have our components. So the next data cleaning step is in our products table. So in our products table, we have our English product name, which is the name of our products. But there is something wrong about this column. We can see that when we have full finger gloves, it tells us the size large, full finger gloves, medium, full finger gloves, small. We have another example, HL mountain frame. We have black 38, that's size 38. We have size 42. But I just want the name of the product. I don't like, imagine I want to know how many customers bought Air Jordan, for example. I don't want to see 14 customers bought Air Jordan size 38 or 14 and 13 customers bought Air Jordan size 12. I want to just know how many people has purchased Air Jordans, and if it's 26 or 25, then that's fine. I don't want to know if it's divided by sizes. So I'm just going to try to extract the actual names of this product so I don't have to see the sizes attached to it. So I can do this easily on Power Query. I just need to come here to product name. I go to add column. I go to extract. Then I'm going to say that I need to extract the text before delimiter because all of them have something in common. There's a comma before the size. So I will use that as my delimiter to extract the text before it, because the text before it is the name of the product. So I just come with my comma and the space. Do I need to indicate any other thing? I think that's fine. And I press OK. Then a new column is added here. And if I check this column, I see that there are no sizes. So it means that it has been taken care of. So I just need to rename this to my product name. Then what next? I have taken care of this. So I need to actually bring in the product categories table to my product table because I want just one table that speaks to products. And one way to do it is just merging the two tables together. So I'm just going to do a merge real quick. I'm going to merge them based on the subcategories. So Power Query is asking me, you want to merge your products table to which table? And I'm going to merge it to my product category table. I would be merging based on the subcategories and there are a total match. So I just press my OK. Then I just come to expand this. This is just part of my data cleaning steps. So I may be fast because this is not the highlights of my session. So yes, and this works perfectly. So another thing I need to do is, okay, I think that's all. That's all. So I'm just going to load this to Power BI and start the next step after data cleaning, which is my data analysis. So I just click on apply. So I think I've already shown you how the steps to take in terms of data cleaning, how to spot for data inconsistencies and how best to handle them. And Power Query is one of the best tools I've used for data cleaning. And it makes it easy because you can easily spot for your data inconsistency. So I've already done a background for the dashboard that my CEO asked me to create. So I won't have to just start creating everything afresh in this session. So the next now to come to my data model and model the table in such a way that they have a relationship. So Power BI automatically spots for the relationship between the two tables. So I have already used this, so I don't need to model this one again to the relationship. Okay, I should have not even loaded it in the first place. So, but it's here, so just continue. And I'm working with three tables. So the relationship Power BI has observed is that there's a relationship between products and sales table, and they relate based on a unique key on the products table, which is the product key. So the product key is unique on the products table, and it's relating with the product key on the sales table. So, and this is just data modeling best practices to be because you have to split your table into facts and dimensions. So your dimensions should speak to the individual entities, while your facts table, which is our sales, would speak to our transactional entities such as our order quantity, our sales, that's our revenue. So I'll just do the same thing for sales and customer real quick. And yes, so Power BI choosing an error. So what they're telling me is that it's observing a many-to-many relationship. And this means that it's very possible that our customers are not distinct. That means there are actually duplicate customers. So I've already finished this session. Like I've done this project before. So I already created the model. So what I did was I had to spot for duplicates on the customer table, and I removed the duplicate customers. So this helped me to be able to, let me just zoom out a little bit. Sorry. So you can see this model clearly. So just move this here, move this here. So this is our customer table. And we can see that I've already cleaned my customer table by removing duplicate customers. And I modeled my customer table to my sales table based on the customer key. So since our model is set, why don't we go and start analyzing our data? So the first thing our CEO said is they want to know the total revenue. So with Power BI, I can just actually build my visuals and understand what's happening in my data sets. So I just need to bring in the sales amounts and it's do a sum for me immediately. So this is my revenue. Okay, just need to format this a little bit, but I can leave it like this. So I want to find my revenue over time because part of the requirements was they want to see a monthly trend analysis, which is our number 2 requirement. So I'll build a line chart to show my trend. I'll be using a line chart, which is the best chart to use to show trend. You can use a line chart or a bar chart, but I mostly prefer to use a line chart for my trend. So my x-axis will be my order dates, and my y-axis will be my sales. Okay, so this shows us from the get-go that there was an increase in sales from 2020 to 2021 through 2022, sorry, and there was a steady amount of revenue in 2023. So there wasn't an increment in 2023. Okay, so why don't we look at this on a monthly perspective? Let's see it on a monthly view. This is just yearly, so let's break it down. Let's drill down to monthly. So this is quarterly, and this is monthly. So this shows us in a more granular form our sales trend or revenue trend on a monthly basis. So it goes from July 2020 to July 2023. And what's this here? We can see that from June, there was a steady increase for our revenue, all the way from January 2022 up until June 2023. But there was a really exponential reduction in revenue from June 2023 to July 2023. And the question my CEO may want to ask is, why is that so? What could be the reason for this? And he may not even be aware it's something I'm finding out from my analysis because he asked me to analyze the data. So Power BI has a very good feature where you can actually just right click on any data point and you just come to analyze and you just click on explain the decrease. So Power BI would explain or try to deduce why there was a reduction in your sales and where it's coming from. So Power BI is telling me that from June 2023, which is my revenue was at 1.9 million for that month, we had a reduction in revenue for the clothing category, but it was just a negative 0.02 million, and same thing for accessories, 0.03 million. But there was a huge reduction in bikes. So it means that our revenue reduction majorly came from the bikes category. And if I scroll down a bit more, Power BI did a little bit more breakdown to explain what could be the reasons for the decrease or where it's coming from. So if you go through these charts, you will see a breakdown of where your sales reduction is coming from. And Power BI would help with that, even without having to do anything, just a right click and click on explain. So I'm just going to show you the already completed reports I have made and show you what the final dashboard looks like. So this is the dashboard I created for my CEO, and this already shows my reduction in sales or revenue. And it should, because I also had based on the request, he asked for a month-over-month comparison. So I did a month-over-month comparison. So at the moment, it's comparing the current revenue, that's this and red boxes, with the previous month, which was in June. It's comparing June 2023 and July 2023, and we can see the reduction. So when I'm looking at the products now, we can see that the revenue for bikes reduced by 100% compared to the last month. If I decide I want to drill down to the particular products, not just by category and subcategory. I want to drill down to the particular products. We can see that Red 150, Red 150, Road 150 Red had the most revenue all year, but it had a 0% increment, which means that there was nothing special happened to the product. There was no revenue generated, like more than the previous month. And even the next product that generated the most revenue, Mountain 200 Black, had a 100% reduction in revenue. Mountain 200 Silver, 100% reduction in revenue. Why don't I just filter down to the current year? Let me see how the products are actually doing in the current year. So I filter on 2023, and I see that, okay, so if you notice, Road 150 Red was the product with the highest generating revenue all year. But in 2023, it's not even among the top products. So we still have Mountain 200 Black Silver. But I want to see what these products are doing in the last month. So in the last month, we realized that they were not sold at all. 0 sales. Maybe this product had a little bit of sales. So from what I can see, it means that the products were not actually being sold in the final months. And this leads me to a question: why were the products not sold? Because my stakeholders want to ask me, why were the products not sold? Can you tell from the data what could be the reasons? And I may not be able to tell exactly from the data, but I'm able to give my CEO some recommendations as to what could be the reason and how best to handle it. So I'm just going to open my slides. So what could be the reason for a reduction in sales? So this is my KPI dashboard ready for my CEO. So my recommendations. The first thing I'm going to recommend is that we check the data quality to be sure that the data actually sent to us is complete, because it's very possible that they didn't send the transactions for the other products, so we don't have the sales for those products. So maybe that's why there were no sales at all for those products in the final month. That could be one of the reasons. So until we've ensured our data is actually correct and accurate and complete, we can't really make further theories. So once we've checked that and we found out, okay, yes, it's actually complete and it's correct, the next thing to check is our supply chain. Did something happen to our supply chain? Maybe they didn't see the high demand in the product, but we saw that there was a very large spike in demand of our products, and maybe they didn't see that coming, right? And they didn't plan for it. Maybe they have like a monthly schedule of deliveries from the suppliers, and they tried to contact suppliers, but they just have one supplier, and something happened to the suppliers, and they couldn't, supply products at that particular time. And now this leads the business to be stagnant. There's no product to be sold because all the major products have been sold out. And if a customer doesn't see the product that they want from your company, trust me, they would go somewhere else to find what they want, because when they want the product, they want it at that moment. So one thing I could recommend is that they implement what's it called contingency plans, have strategies to back up your supply chains. So in case have more than one suppliers, in case one supplier has issues or external factors take place and they are not able to supply, have a backup that you can always reach out to. They will deliver your products for you and your business continues. But what if that's not the case? Maybe they're actually something happened, the negative stuff happened to the company. That's Malcom and Sons. Maybe they were robbed and their products were stolen, so they had nothing to sell. And they're asking me now, how do I go about reviving the business? So the next thing I'm going to suggest is that they review their products. I'll call this a product portfolio review. So when I say product portfolio review, I'm referring to, looking at the products, checking which one have been performing so well, knowing the best one to invest in so that you can actually use that one to start and revive the business. So that's the products that are in most demand by the customers. So at least we'll be supplying the customers those products, generating more revenues, and we'll use that to steadily regain stability in our business. So the last suggestion I'll give to the business is market analysis, rebranding, and promotion. So that's just basically getting feedbacks from the customers to be sure your products are actually of quality. Then if your products are quality, or they tell you, okay, you know what, these are ways you can improve, or you can even check your competitors to know how they are doing. So maybe they are doing something that is better than you, or you want to really implement a new strategy, right? Rebrand. Then once you've rebranded, implemented the corrections, perform some analysis to be sure that you're good to go. Then you can promote your products. So these are the recommendations I will give for my business. But there are more recommendations to give, but these are just a few that I'm just able to share in this session. So in summary, we've been able to show how to go from data to decision. So I'm just going to do a quick recap. So remember our three keywords: data, decision, and Power BI. In our demo, I've been able to show you that we've gone from data to gathering our data, right? We've been able to gather our data using Power BI, which is our sales data from Excel. We're able to clean our data. After cleaning our data, we're able to analyze it to gain insights, know what's currently happening in the company. We saw the reduction in sales. We're able to check what could be the reason. We saw that products were not sold in the final month. We saw that they were mostly in the buy category. We're able to answer some business questions, and we're able to give recommendations to our stakeholders by sharing them our interactive dashboard and tell them, okay, you know what, we were able to display our data storytelling elements, which is our narrative, our narrative, our data, and our visuals. We're able to tell the stakeholder what's currently happening in their company and give recommendations based on the next steps to take. And this is what I'll call a good data story. And we've been able to help the stakeholder, which is the CEO of Malcom & Sons, make data-driven decisions. So this is how we go from data to decision with the use of Power BI. And this brings me to the end of my session. So do you have any questions? I'll be checking the comment section to see if there are any questions for me. If you have any questions, I'd love to hear it.
Anybody attending the session who has a question can also unmute themselves and ask the question live if you want.
Okay. Seems my session was fair enough and I don't have any questions.
Congratulations, you're an international speaker now, Malcom. Well done.
But let's just give you some time. Maybe I'll have one or two questions that I can just answer from the audience.
Yeah, I wasn't telling you to stop presenting anything. It was just a congratulation.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. If you have any questions, I'm still willing to take them.
Well, I do have a question because you skipped, or not really skipped, but you mentioned that you deduplicated the customers table.
Yeah.
As we've got some time left, can you show me how you deduplicated that table?
Okay. I'll be using the practice demo. So I just go to my Power Query. That's where all the magic happens. So when I come to my customers table, the first thing I should know is that this is a customers table. So every customer should have just one record. There shouldn't be more than one record for a customer. So how do I find out if my theory is correct, whether they have more than one customers? One thing I can do is I can actually count the number of times every customer appears on my record. So I know that a customer key is unique for every customer, right? And I can just come here, I go to my transform, and I want to sum the number of appearances, count values for the number of appearances of each customer. So I click on count values. Oh, that's not right. I come to transform. I go to group by. So I want to count the number of times each customer key appeared, and I need to just see here count, and the operation is to count number of rows, and I press OK. So what I need to do now is just to sort this in descending order. So we can see that there are customers who appeared twice, customer keys twice. Before I even delete this or try to remove duplicates, let me even first check if they have the same customer name, because there could be a mix of maybe some customers had maybe they were given the same customer key mistakenly. So I'm just going to highlight the three columns. I'll do a group by again, and I'm just going to count the number of rows. and to see if my theory is correct. So descending, and we can see the same customer, the same name, first and last name is appearing twice. And this can be right. So every customer should appear just once. So what I'm going to do to handle this is I just need to go back to how my data was initially. I would just highlight my customer key, my first name, and last name. These are the three columns that I want to be unique. In fact, all columns should be unique. But these are the three I'm just going to work with for now. Or I can just highlight the entire thing because everything should be the same thing. So I right click and I just click on remove duplicates. Once I remove duplicates, if I want to check if my changes were actually made, okay, I can just come back to customer key. I do a group by again. I just count number of rows and I sort descending, and there's still one. So I have resolved the issue of duplicates. So if I go back now, let me just take this back to how it was initially. So yes, if I go back now to load this to Power BI, once I try to remodel the connection between customer tables and sales table, it shouldn't have an issue. So let me just show you that real quick. And I bring the customer key, I drag it to connect to the customer key on the product on the customer table, and voila. This is how you fix such data modeling issues in Power BI.